Okay, so let's go to talk about the next big thing. The Prophet Muhammad talked about big things and small things. We must understand what big things are before we can create more big things. But anyway, that's not exactly the point. This is the point. I invented the next big things. 2, possibly 3 of them. Not anything that's that hard to invent. I invented those things, and not a single human on earth could claim more than 1/3 of your big things. And that itself is a big thing. Okay, but what's this story about? You see, when you invent so many things, you could buy the world in it. You could take those things because you invented new technology and a new monetary system, and it's like Barbarians of the Game meets Working Girl in Wall Street 999. What happens when we buy out all your stocks and all your bonds and put them all into a single enterprise of us? We have no need for better trading. We have no need for stealing from each other. In fact, that's how we make profit, by stopping the stealing from each other, by implementing an ethic of reciprocity. But let's get back to what were the next big things. And it starts with a relatively recent one, which really only happened, really only spawned itself a little bit when you created the browser. You invented the internet. The first thing I invented was a new internet. You see, you have a wild, wild west internet where all information is equal, but all information is not equal. In my new internet, we'll have it run by a new morality, because you already have the wild, wild west. If there's such a thing, which I think there is good porn, we'll have good porn that trains children and parents and people how to be fruitful and multiply and have families. But guess what? You can keep the bad crap out there on your old internet. But bigger than that, on our internet, we'll have vaults. Vaults. We'll pick our own best products. Using the ethical reciprocity, we will teach ourselves our own best deals. And we'll wipe out the bad deals for ourselves. And we will discover truth, justice, and, well, the American way could go worldwide if it ever got its way and found the democracy. Or let's not get ahead of us behind our story. Before the last big thing, the internet, what was the first big thing on earth? That's where you gotta start. Well, you gotta start somewhere about understanding big things. So the first big thing, but you can't just go to the first big thing that man reinvented. Because first God or something or whatever, that bang created the sun and everything around us, which we can't even prove we're anything because we haven't even found the bottom of ourselves. What do we really know? It's just energy. I don't even think you can prove yourself. I think therefore I am no. But I postulated a long time ago what lies beyond Descartes is we think together, therefore we are. We think, therefore we are. But now we're getting into philosophy. Let's not get into philosophy. Let's get into this. The first big thing after big thing 0, God. The first big thing man invented, well, it's sort of like a weird thing. It's a multiple thing. It's a 1 = 1 = 1. He sort of invented monopoly, and the man got the club and found the best key, which is housing. And then he beeped off the guys and got the best women, and so we started the game called Monopoly, and then they learned how to get other people to work for them and take them over with the militaries, and then they built pyramids and all kinds of big buildings because they had a monopoly. And so we played that game for years with kings and queens and emperors. We played Monopoly from the beginning, but then we reinvented Monopoly when we created, we're getting ahead of things, but later on, Monopoly's played with pieces of paper, and it's an illusion that's gonna blow your pocketbooks just like your minds. But is that the point? Well, it is the point, but it's not the point of this. So the first big thing was housing and monopoly. What was the second big thing? Oh, it's the last. Let's go to the second. What was the second big thing? I think big, and my thing was travel. Man invented travel, not a wheel, not a spark, no travel to boards. Land travel I'm talking about at this time. He's invented travel, and he's going around and he's trading this and that, and they don't even have money yet, they leave money, but they have travel and commerce and trade. Big thing too was travel. Of course, we won't get into, maybe we will. I invented iPhones, I invented virtual infinite travel in space and time. But let's not go into the future now. So, 3. What was Big Thing 3? It wasn't even that long ago in the history of thousands of years. Big Thing 3. Big Thing 3 was what you call democracy that you really haven't practiced yet. In America, you can't even count your votes. 5 years ago, we had the technology. My guy sat, and it was true, and it's true today. Holy bleep, we could have worldwide election. Everybody with biometric authenticated iPhones could vote real time, every day, every hour, every minute we choose. What would they vote for? Fighting truth, and when we get the votes, we have a mind meld with who they are, or who they want to be, or who knows what, or who knows who. But we're finding knowledge, and now we're getting ahead of things. So, Big Thing 3, democracy, the Greeks, Sparta, they had democracy, and we haven't even practiced it yet. But when you own the capitalist enterprise bus, I'll pay the vote. Now, Big Thing 4 is really biblical. 4, 8, what the freak over. The thing is 4, you claim is the Gutenberg Bible, which is around 1400, 1500 BC, just 400 years ago, 500 years ago, of course, 500 years ago, and then, but you know what, it was the Chinese that invented print. See, 4 was print. The Chinese invented print hundreds of years before, around 800, but they had too many characters to print. What the fuck? The Chinese now have ones and zeros, like all of us, ones and zeros. Well, anyway, that's getting way ahead of behind the story. Let's not go into the codes. Okay, fine. So, Big Thing 5, and this is important. This is very important. Big Thing 5 after the book was capitalism, and that actually helped pay for Big Thing 6, the engine, the power, the industrial revolution. 5 and 6, capitalism as we know it today, but it was defined by Adam Smith and Karl Marx had a plan, but he didn't know how to capitalize some people, and that's, well, now I'm getting ahead of the story. Okay, 5 was capitalism, 6 was the engine, 7, and this gets interesting because Franklin found the power, and Edison turned it into light. But I'm the third light from your mind. That's getting ahead of the story. 8 was the telephone. Alexander Graham Bell. He could claim that one alone, I think, or whatever. We could find that out if you want truth. And then 9, the radio. Lots of people claim the radio. I don't know who owned the invention of the radio. It doesn't really matter. That was 9. And then 10. 10 was flight. First flight of man and air travel. And then 11 was what I call flat TV. Because, well, I don't think I invented 3D, but I integrated it to all your technology and to your internet in the iPhones. And so you had 11 flat TV. And then it gets interesting, very interesting, when we get to 12. But we get to 12, and we're running out of time. We're running out of time. It's 9:19. I must stop this tape now. We're out of time.